I think we're ready to start, so let's do it.
All right, let's do it. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. No, why would you do that? I said 5, 4, 3, 2, and then you said go on like 2.
Easy.
That's just like our. Okay, we have a new productionist today. He's like, all right, we're gonna go in 5, 5, 4, 3, and you're good. And he just went. I'm like, okay, let's do it. All right, so let's go ahead and introduce these players. In the top left-hand corner of Ohanari, we have Liquid Zenio. Bottom right-hand corner, we have Roxkiss Abver. It is a ZVZ. So we're in for
indeed it is.
At least Zerglings.
Yeah, we're going to most likely be seeing 1 or more queens and multiple Zerglings being built.
We're going to see larva, a lot of drones.
Yep.
Maybe banelings in there.
Yes.
Roaches are quite possible. Definitely overlords.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in fact, we are already seeing those things. They're flying across the map, scouting out each other.
Excellent. Let's talk a little about how ZVZ works. A little bit more serious time.
Okay.
All right, so I think the main 3 builds are going to be something like a 14 pool, which is the more safe type of route. The 15 hatch, which is going to be a little bit more greedy, but I think it is a little bit more common as well. There you go. Both of these players are going for the 15 hatch. So let's just go from here. 15 hatch, what does that actually imply? Well, they're going to have a lot of larvae in this beginning stage. Once both of these players actually identify what the other person is doing, they can kind of relax, but they have to be careful because they're susceptible to a lot of big ranges. And what that means is, okay, as soon as I get my double queens, I double inject, and all of a sudden, I can be seeing a ton of Zerglings coming into my base, or those could all be drones. So the way I want to react is going to be different sometimes. Sometimes I just want to make, let's say, if I know my opponent is going very, very Zergling heavy, maybe instead of getting the metabolic boost, I get the Baneling nest, and all of a sudden, I'm really safe against it. I can drone up a lot more efficiently. And the converse spot, if they make a lot of drones, I don't want to be doing a build like that. So that makes it really difficult. They need to find some medium point, and we'll see who plays a little bit more greedy, because all you have to do is say, okay, I'm going to play a little less aggressive than you, and I can defend against all of my opponent's builds, and therefore I will be a lot more drone efficient, give me a bigger economy.
Yep, I agree. And actually, we can already see Abver is being slightly more greedy than Zenio. He does have an extra drone. You saw that Zenio went for a 15 hatch, 15 pool. Abver got his pool on 16, so he opted to get the 1 extra drone early on, which, you know, especially in a mirror matchup, which is really by definition very, very precise, much more so than a non-mirror matchup, just because, you know, you are the same race. So every little thing you do is much more important. Yeah,
both players have the same capacity of doing whatever each other are doing. So that's the big thing. So the little times you squeeze out that extra little juice of efficiency, you're looking a lot better. You can see Zenio has stopped mining gas, but Abver is still mining gas, so that does imply some sort of Baneling nest. The big question is, does Zenio actually fall into the trap of making Zerglings at this point? It's not really a trap, I shouldn't say that, but if he does make additional Zerglings, then he might be in a little bit of a problem, because obviously those Banelings are so cost efficient against Zerglings.
Yeah, that they are. And you can see Abver is being very, very greedy. Actually, both players are playing incredibly passively, especially considering ZVZ is usually defined by who is the most aggressive. You know, you usually see, you know, very early Zergling attacks, Banelings come in at the early stages of the game to try to put a lot of pressure on your opponent, but both players so far have been playing very, very greedy, but that seems to be stopping from Zenio, because you see 20 Zerglings now in production. He is getting that defensive spine at his natural expansion to prepare against any kind of counterattack or anything like that. And a Roach Warren from Abver is coming out. So what Abver, I think, needs to do is just hold on and stop this early pressure from Zenio, and then he's going to have a very, very big tech advantage. But this Queen...
Yeah, this Queen might be in a little bit of trouble, but the Zerglings for Abver are going to come in and defend. Now, Abver kind of wants to defend with his Queens, because those Queens actually represent a ton of HP. You can see that they have 175 life. Along with that, they have +1 armor. So with that extra armor, it makes Zerglings a lot weaker. They have to hit that particular Queen a bunch of times. Let me see. It's almost 44 times to kill that.
And the one thing I want to note right now is that both players are supply blocked, and they've actually just recently started drones. So we're going to actually be seeing like a 50 supply versus 50 supply for about another minute or so. And the critical thing here is Abver's tech is much better than Zenio so far. He's got his Roach Warren down, his Baneling Nest is being constructed, and Zenio is actually still not even mining gas at all. He's actually just playing very, very safe. He's getting up to 4 Spine Crawlers with his natural expansion, and he's just focusing more on economy. He's got quite a few drones, actually. He has a pretty big drone advantage over his opponent.
33 to 28, so that is a 5 drone advantage over his opponent. That might not seem like a lot, but when you're at 30 harvesters, think about that. Now 36 to 29, but when you're at 35 harvesters and you're 5 over your opponent, that's almost 20% right there. That's really, really good. So if you have a 20% advantage over your opponent, it's looking, the relative difference is pretty good. So here we see a lot of roaches actually pushing out here. So we will have a very early Baneling, Zergling, Roach combination here.
Yep. And this is actually really dangerous from Zenio. I think he might be going a little bit too greedy on the economy. He's up to 40 drones, well, 39 right now, and he's making a lot of Spine Crawlers, but Abver is barreling in right now, a little bit mistimed by Zenio because he has 4 incomplete Spine Crawlers and big Banelings going off here.
Yeah, and the Banelings want to actually, they don't know what they want to do just yet, but they're right now defending those Roaches. They're killing the Spine Crawlers as we speak. More additional Banelings are pushing in here, and he might actually just go directly for the drone. So Zenio's in a lot of trouble here. Roaches are just causing so much havoc, and I don't think there's any way that Zenio can actually get back into this because those Baneling hits were just way, way too good.
Yeah, I mean, even if Zenio somehow manages to hold this attack, his economy has been absolutely crippled, all the way down to 21 harvesters. He lost basically half of his income. He lost all that money invested into building 7 Spine Crawlers, and Zenio GG's right there, and Abver takes a 1-0 lead in the match, and he's actually 1 win away from making it to the NASL.
I know, that is crazy to hear. Of course, that would be the first foreigner to actually make it over a Korean, so that would be a pretty big deal. I want to kind of explain that build a little bit because it was a little bit different. We saw Abver consistently mine through that gas the whole time. Whereas Zenio took it off, he had a little bit more minerals. To be precise, 120 minerals more than his opponent per minute. So for every single minute, which was a pretty long time that Zenio was not mining gas, he had that extra 120 minerals. The unfortunate thing is he didn't do anything with it. I mean, yes, he got a slight drone lead, but it was towards the later stages. He went for a heavy Zergling type of composition, but then he lost everything. Right. You know, you saw those Zergling on Zergling trades, and he just was not equipped to defeat his opponent. Therefore, it gave Abver a very, very big advantage in that Zergling count and gave him a lot of space. And with all the gas that he was saving up, he was able to roach very heavily on a timing that really Zenio wasn't expecting. Normally, players don't mine like that, or they go for Banelings. But he went all for roaches, and that timing is really, really weird. It's off because it's not something that you're used to, going directly to roaches. So that was the reason why Zenio was so caught off guard, and he fell to Abver. It's really nice timing.
Yeah, no, he just played a little bit too greedy there. Yeah. I mean, he invested in 7 spines, but it was sort of mistimed because the extra 4 Spine Crawlers were about halfway done by the time Abver's timing attack came in. So I think it was just a little bit of a misread by Zenio, and maybe he was just a little bit greedy and kind of underestimated his opponent there.
Well, that's a lot of times how you play ZVZ, though. You want to be that greedy type of player, especially when you're doing these aggressive moves, and then you kind of fall back into that macro style because you're saying, okay, my opponent is good enough not to die to this type of stuff. You're hoping that they actually play a lot more defensive because kind of like swinging back like a slingshot, swinging back like that. It can be really, really risky because you don't know what your opponent is doing. They could be massing a lot more units, and if they're massing a lot more units than you and it isn't all in, and then you mass reactive to your opponent, then you're always going to be behind because obviously they've started unit production a lot earlier than you. So that being said, we're going to go into the second game of these two players after this break. So don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. Zenio and Abver after this.